Hello everyone, welcome to the Red Men TV. It is just under 2 minutes until this fantastic live stream is going to be in your eyes and in your ears. And I promise you, because all the content we do is really good, that it is going to be absolutely worth the wait. We are just now checking our microphone levels, making sure the internet's okay and it's not going to go kaboom on us at any point. We've got the new compressors for the audio, so we're not spiking and not hurting your ears. In the meantime, you can of course check out this incredible piece of Red Men TV merch that we designed. I think you'll agree it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously I recorded this ages ago, so it could be literally anything, but I'm sure it's absolutely fantastic. And of course, don't forget as well, we've got our own streaming platform, that is Red Men Plus. Red Men Plus is the home of Red Men TV and has absolutely everything we do there, from in-depth documentary series to more relaxed podcast stuff like we do on the main channel on YouTube. So yeah, it's not going to be long now. It's around about 50 seconds. At this point, peek behind the curtain, what is normally happening is we're all panicking. I normally need a piss, to be quite honest with you at this point, and then have to run off. And Tom's normally sat in the room going, what's he doing? I've got no idea. Where's he gone? And it's always for a wee, because I've got a really small bladder and I can only last about 40 minutes normally, which is hell when you go and watch a Liverpool game, because they're 45 minutes off, especially when you've had a pint. But it is what it is, and we live where we live, and we've got to deal with what we've got to deal with. And I promise you that this content is coming up in less than 11 seconds time. And yeah, it's 9, it's 8, it's 7, it's 6, it's 5, it's 4, it's 3, it's 2, it's 1. It's your content.
Hey, what's happening? It is Thursday Night Pint. It's 7 o'clock. It's time to kick back, grab yourselves a bevy, and let's somehow find some scrap of positivity around Liverpool Football Club, dwindling though it may be. I've got some incredible guests to help me with that tough task, including the effervescent, the incredible James Pearce joining us, as well as some other wonderful smiling faces. We'll be getting to that. We're going to be talking back to Chelsea. We're going to be looking ahead to the Arsenal game at the weekend. And in the middle, we're going to be playing a little game where we go head to head on Liverpool's 18-19 Champions League winning team versus Arsenal's Invincibles to find out once and for all, player for player, pound for pound, which was the best team. If you want to interact with us on anything that we do, you can use the live show chat here on YouTube. If you're a club legend subscriber to Redmen Plus, you can use the Discord as well. But yes, before we crack into all of that, it's time to look back on the week in Liverpool. And the Mighty Reds, fresh off a 17-day break from football, decided that a bold way to get their top 4 hopes back on track was to score the early goal, play quite well for 45 minutes, and then get absolutely pumped senseless by Man City at the Etihad. It was a bold strategy, and one that I think we can probably agree didn't quite work out. Anyway, we moved on Tuesday without so much as time for a spit wash and a cry in a darkened corner while doom scrolling their Twitter mentions. The Liverpool squad got back on the horse and headed to Stamford Bridge, safe in the knowledge that if Liverpool were in deep shit, there was only one team worse, and that was Graham Potter's Chelsea. Anyway, they should remain safe and comfortable in the knowledge that despite making 7 changes to the starting lineup, the team that took to the field was just as shit as the first team that they put out against Manchester City. That's a positive, right? You can make 7 changes and just maintain a level. It's what every manager's looking for, every fan wants to see. Shows a parity of quality across the squad. Slim consolation being that Darwin Núñez also made a child cry. Good tears, probably good tears. Or maybe he was just keeping himself contained from the tears of boredom as that game unfolded. Who knows? Good to see him happy, if nothing else. Right, we also heard from Curtis Jones, who returned to the starting lineup in the Premier League for the first time since the away defeat at Nottingham Forest. Actually had a pretty good game. He's opened up on the injury woes that have absolutely damned this season so far, and revealed that he's under a special training regime that says he can do 4 days, and then if the 5th day happens to fall on the day of a match, he can't play. Which is strange that he should come out and explain this as though it's new information, because quite clearly that's been the strategy for the vast majority of the squad so far this season. We also found out that James Milner rose above Frank Lampard to 3rd in the all-time Premier League appearance list. It actually puts him 22 behind Ryan Giggs and 42 behind Gareth Barry. This is all wondering, will he be able to climb up that table, and what will he look like by the time he gets there? It should be interesting. Finally, last but by no means least, Liverpool have got Arsenal at the weekend. Yes, despite all the misery at the moment, the one shining light is the games are at least coming thick and fast. Every few days represents an opportunity to get Liverpool's season back on track. A chance to put things right is always just around the corner. And the weekend, of course, sees us go up against high-flying, energetic, fun vibes, good times. Oh, good times rolling. Everyone's having a boss time. Champions-elect, Arsenal. Oh, God. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, sounds. Anyway, fuck it. Let's just have a drink and just live in this world. Step into our nightmare. The water is warm, and I'm going to be joined by some wonderful guests to paddle along in it for the next hour or so. First and foremost, let me welcome to the couch. We've gone all change because Chris and Steve apparently decided to get a life tonight. We have got first and foremost the man, the short king of Redmen TV. It is Mr. Dan Club.
Go.
You chose not to grace the Thursday Night Pint audience with your legs.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately for myself and the Thursday Night Pint audience, I've not just gone podcast pant, which is known to the podcast viewers now. I've gone full jean for this one. Liverpool, my Thursday Night Pint debut, I thought I'd go all out and really push the boat out for everyone. And here I am.
You stopped short at like bow tie, which I think is probably
just about. It was close. It was a close old call. I'm going for more Daniel Sturridge Liverpool debut than Joe Cole Liverpool debut. That's where I'm aiming for.
Okay.
So here I am.
I'm pleased with that. We'll see how well that goes. Right, next up on the couch, regular viewers of the watch-alongs will of course know this man, but he makes his Thursday Night Pint debut. It is of course the wonderful Errol Smith. There's the bevies.
You need a cider, don't you?
Oh, where's the ciders? Get him.
A walk in and walk out.
First pint. There we go.
Nice one.
It's a pleasure to be here, by the way, I thought I should say that.
Yeah, hello, Errol.
Hello. How are we?
Very, very good. We got you some dark fruit in, especially.
Well,
touchy subject, that.
It is a touchy subject because I got asked and was like, yeah, I'm game to do it. I drink mixed fruit Coppersbergs. And Steve had one job. So never send Steve Hall to the bar for you because you'll end up with a substandard drink. Just saying.
Other dark fruits ciders are available apparently. Great, excellent. Well,
The
try
darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Okay, quality. I'll have to take your word for it. Yeah, brilliant. Right, sound. We've got. Welcome, regular Emma viewers will of course recognise her and her incredible artwork from social media as well. Welcome to the show, Miss Abigail Rudkin. Woo!
You look really stressed on the way in there, I think you do.
How awkward did you feel with the walk-in?
Very awkward. I'm not a fan.
I thought you handled it really well.
Do you think? I mean, didn't know whether to look directly at the camera, at the beer. I don't know. It's fine.
You didn't want to appear too desperate
Too
by staring
eager.
at the beer.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm fine now.
Okay, then let's introduce our final guest. Yes, fresh jetting in. I think he's been on his holidays. He's got a wonderful tan, a wonderful glow about him at the moment. Let's welcome the Athletic's James Pearce. Woo, 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 woo. So yeah, this isn't this isn't a garden tan you got going on here. You catch a little bit of a warm weather break.
Sefton Park? No?
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. There are people who hang in Sefton Park who certainly have that tan.
No, Cancun during the international break.
Oh, just Cancun.
Very nice.
Yeah, very, very pleasant.
Very needed.
Yeah. Came back refreshed, and I think the last week probably made me need.
Did you go to Coco's? Did you go to Coco Bongos?
Do you know what? Didn't actually.
Oh.
No, I have been before. I've been before, but not this time. No, it was. We were about an hour away from Cancun actually. At Riviera Maya.
Maya, yeah. Okay, nice.
So I think Coco Bongos was about 30-40 minutes away. So yeah. Maybe I'm a bit too old for that now.
Is that the one? Is that based on the mask?
It's so
Yeah,
good.
it is about
It is
like.
so good.
I was there not so long ago myself, and it was about that.
Is Cameron Diaz circa 1995 there, is the question.
No, unfortunately.
I'll stick to Mallorca. Right, we are going to talk, sadly, sorry, apologies to everyone. We did have one guest who I won't reveal, who had to pull out because he just couldn't talk about Liverpool at the moment because it's been really stressful. But we will do it. These are the brave souls who joined me for it. We're going to talk Chelsea 0, Liverpool 0. Dan Club. Drab.
Yeah, it certainly was. Is that our starting 11? Because it may as well have been. It was, it was. I was saying outside, funnily enough, before we came in, it was a tough watch from both sides, actually. But I was quite excited by the change. Obviously, we were on sort of watch-along duty on the night, and I was quite excited by seeing some fresh faces. It felt like a chance for some lads who've been watching on a car crash season to come in and really grab an opportunity. But a couple of them were okay. I think Curtis Jones was okay. But it just lacked quality, really, more than anything. Like, all the complaints this season about the lack of desire, the lack of fight, lack of hunger to win games, especially away from home, that wasn't really the case this time. It was just devoid of confidence, bereft of any ability to sort of grab the game by the scruff of the neck.
It was just one of the things, Errol, you're looking at other teams, and I was watching Newcastle last night, and you watch Arsenal, and even obviously watching us go up against City, and maybe less so City, but certainly Arsenal and Newcastle. They're fun to watch. Yeah. They're exciting. They look like they're enjoying it. There's energy there. Whereas that Chelsea game, it just looked like if that had been, it was a rotated side. I joked before, and it was almost like a cup team that we put out. But normally the plan with that is you're getting fresh legs, so you should get a little bit more of something. But that blend of rustiness kind of countered a little bit the freshness.
You'd be hoping that there'd be a new dynamic getting brought to the side when you bring in that many changes, and it wasn't, as you said before in your intro. It was like for like in terms of the quality that we've been used to seeing week in, week out with this side at the minute, and it was disappointing because in my head I was wondering, is this Klopp sending a message to the wider squad that nobody's safe, which gives other lads an opportunity now to really step up and kind of showcase, well, you've been kind of leaving me open on the fringes, but look what I can do. And he said there, Jones has been decent. No one else really there. Alisson's been a standout player all season, but there's no one else really that you can put your money on and say, yeah, they've now got to give Klopp something to think about. And that's probably one of the biggest disappointments, because we're still going to need bodies between now and the end of the season to come in and do a job. But none of those lads are able to go to the gaffer on the weekend and be knocking on his door being like, start me again. The body of work just wasn't there for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, isn't it, Abby, because I count to this point a little bit, but it's Chelsea, it's Stamford Bridge. Yeah, we have got a reasonable record there of late, but expecting to go away to other big sides and getting wins is never is a bit of a hiding to nothing. But it was just that lack of excitement and interest. It was just boring. And if Liverpool are going to go down, I think all of us would prefer us to feel like they're going down. Yeah, going down with a fight.
I mean, I literally thought to myself, like, I think we're going to lose to City, we're going to draw to Chelsea and win to Arsenal. So it's sort of going in the way I thought it was going to go, to be honest with you. I think I've sort of...
You got the scoreline for the Arsenal game as well, just in case you want to place a bet.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think we win it. I just think we do. But I don't know, like you were saying about Jones, I mean, I didn't see anything that great. Like, I try not to slag the players off as much as I can, because it does me head in the way everyone was like, we need to start making changes, like, you've got to do something, people can't be guaranteed their position. And then the moment we make changes, there's meltdowns all over Twitter and Instagram and everything possible. To be fair, it's not even just on social media, because my dad went, I hope Klopp's not trying to get himself sacked. I was like, Dad, are you messing?
Don't put that out there.
Don't say
Jesus
that.
Christ.
He literally put that into my head. I was like, Dad, it's not that bad. But it was when all those rumoured lineups were coming in, I was thinking, oh my my gosh, because there was meltdown over that as well, weren't
And
there?
we were joking, James, that because there was a leaked lineup earlier in the day that had a midfield of Henderson, Carvalho, and Jones.
It was Jones.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm starting to wonder whether they're doing that now so that everyone gets the rage out the way. So when it's not quite like that, everyone's a little bit calmer. It's just frustration, isn't it? Because, I mean, on one hand, you've got the whole not quite new manager bounce thing, but there's a little bit of, if the players wanted rid of Graham Potter, well, they got it. And if the fans wanted rid of him, they got it. So they had that little added impetus, and they've got to maybe run a little bit harder and whatever. It was probably a slightly more difficult task than it might have been a week hence.
Yeah.
But it was still, Liverpool just never felt like they really had any great grasp on the game.
No. And in terms of the team selection, I didn't. The only one I had a problem with was leaving out Salah. To be honest, I think out of the changes he made, I think you could make a pretty strong case for all the other ones. It was just with a team that's had so little goal threat, especially away from home, to leave out the one player who does look potent was an odd one to me. But yeah, you saw the same people who've been saying Klopp's too loyal, it was then furious when he does drop, half a dozen of them. So the disappointing thing, as the guys touched on, is the fact there wasn't that reaction, because I think certainly last season, I remember Klopp saying, the great thing was that, the names on the back of the shirts might change, but the identity of the team doesn't. And you could probably say the same actually for the other night, but not in a positive
The worst
way.
possible
It was the names on the back of the shirts were different, but the outcome was another drab, miserable away performance. And let's not kind of beat around the bush. Like a better team would have beaten Liverpool. Chelsea have got big problems of their own, but the chances they missed. Again, Liverpool indebted to Alisson. 2 disallowed goals as well. There's only one team who looked like winning that game, and unfortunately it wasn't Liverpool.
Well, it was interesting because Quadbot in the live show chat says we benefited from Havertz's glorious inability to shoot straight. And that's your point, isn't it? This is a team who only scored 29 goals this season. And if they had someone who was even marginally capable of that, they absolutely would have put us to the sword.
Yeah, it was just 2 teams you could see playing with so little belief. Just so disjointed. It was hard to believe at times. Just when you look at the amount of individual talent that was out there, just how pathetic a spectacle it was, because it looked every bit 8th against 11th.
But don't you think it's like both ends of the spectrum now almost, because Chelsea don't look like they've got any belief in front of goal, but for the rest of their team, they looked fairly solid. Defensively, they looked all right. Midfield, like if you look at that midfield, it was Kovacic, it was Enzo,
Kante.
and it was Kante coming back just for the masterclass as he does. Like,
Of course.
That midfield, like creating opportunities, they outran us. They did all the things that we've been hoping we'd get from our midfield for so many weeks and months now, but he had nothing. Whereas if you kind of, as James pointed, if Salah was in that starting 11, you'd put Salah in there and you'd bank on him to finish one of Havertz's chances. Yeah. So it's like almost at this point with that shit, if you moulded us together, we'd actually kind of like your t-shirts, if you did a little fusion thing going on there, you'd have this inside all over again, and it's just bonkers.
The problem is, Errol, just to carry on a very, very niche Dragon Ball Z reference, there's a chance that when you do it wrong, you end up with the really awkward fat one that comes out the back of it. You'd have just a genuinely rubbish team, an even worse team than anyone had ever seen. I think to kind of point James is talking about there, Dan, from last season, we went to Southampton right at the death of the season and basically changed the entire team, and the lads come in, just added something. Everyone was pulling for the right cause. We make big changes for cup teams, but have the same sort of vibes going on. It does feel like there's just a poison that's run throughout the entire squad, and at this point I've got no idea what you do about getting that out, because if you were going to get it out, beating Manchester United 7-0 was probably the thing that was going to burn it out, but apparently not.
Well, we've said that a few times this season, and we've had a couple of individual performances. The Man City one at Anfield you could look to as well and say, well, there's your moment. Obviously, the United one as well. But I think it's gone beyond that now, really, for this squad this season, unfortunately, in that ship sail. But you're right, I think it never used to matter who was named in the starting 11, whether it be a mad team for a derby that Klopp likes to do, or the cup games are probably the greatest example of it, because we just played the same way it was sort of integrated into everyone. Didn't matter who was in the front three, didn't matter who the midfield three was. We just had a way of playing that everyone knew and everyone understood. And I think moreover, the key word in all of this for me is confidence. There's a confidence running through the entire squad that it didn't matter, like I say, who was in the 11, but now it's the opposite. There's no confidence in this squad whatsoever. So when you do make changes, it kind of exacerbates the issue and it's like even more of a problem. And I think we've seen that, especially on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I mentioned like a side that lacks identity, Abby. You know, it's a side that looks, you know, I mentioned this post-match, is that everyone's going, oh, Pep Lijnders' book, he's giving away the secret sauce. The book is just like 300 pages of him going, now we just tell the lads to sort it out on the pitch. Pass forward first and then sort it out on the pitch. That's literally the core of the book. It just looks like a team that actually could probably have done with having a bit more secret sauce and a bit more coaching or whatever, because there's nothing about what we do. And I know there's changed players, and that front three have never played together, and that midfield probably haven't played together, and you know, and then the back four, etc., etc. But it does look like a Liverpool side that doesn't have any fluidity, there's no creativity, there's no inspiration in there either.
I think we're all sick of the word intensity. Is it? Yeah, what is it? Intensity? Yeah, it was. That was the name of the book.
You forgot it, you'd asked
I forgot it. I didn't read the book. He like shouted out like my cousin Michael in it, so I was like, oh, that's great. That's the only bit that I read. But it does feel that way now, to be honest with you. I don't know if anyone agrees with me. Like, I'd completely replace the whole midfield in the summer. Like, it sounds ruthless, but I'd not maybe get rid of all of them, but I'd just get a completely new midfield that next season.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when you get to tell them that. I'd love to. I think that would be really.
I'm just gonna go in there and just sit Hendo down, sit Fab down, all that. And
that'll be the new, like, I'll be on LFC TV, be sponsored by like Corn or whatever. You know, they do those little videos and someone goes into the action and does something.
It's me with a little thing, and I'm like the X Factor, like
with
no.
The P45s at the midfield.
Here you go.
Then you do the FIFA ratings, and there's Abby hand in a box, and they open the box, and it's just got the P45.
And then I'm like calling Jude in from behind. I'm like, come on, no, bye.
That's another name I'm sick of it.
No, do you know what? Literally, we're getting a new cat, and my dad wants to call it Jude. I'm like, it's far too soon.
It's too soon. That is too
But
soon.
like we were saying anyway, I completely went off and started talking about cats. I always do this when I come on here, by the way. Anyway, what I was going to say is, I just feel like we're completely lacking intensity. There's nothing about them at all. There's no cohesiveness. I mean, I'm in a bad mood about it all anyway. I think we all are. It all feels completely shit. I mean, Costas just had a really bad game. I mean, I'm not going to use the words absolutely shite, but that's probably what I would have said. I mean, I am feeling negative about it all. I mean, I know we only drew, and that was my prediction, but I am feeling really, really bad about it all.
I'm sensing that. I think
people were saying like, oh, I thought Jones did really well, but then the moment I clicked on TikTok, someone had done like a compilation of like all of his mistakes, and I was like, maybe never.
Can I just draw attention to this? People are meths. Like, I genuinely don't get it. Like, I get thinking a player's not brilliant. Yeah. Or thinking a player's not good enough.
But doing a compilation.
But the Pearce Jones stuff, I think, is wild. I've never known that, like, a level of, like, sabotage from within a corner of, and I'm presuming it's our fan base, but whatever. No one's here saying he's, like, pulling up trees and he's the next great footballer. But he's, like, for the lad who, I was first starting in the league since Forest. I think he played in the Champions League. He played in I can't remember. He played in the Champions League. He played in, was it Napoli? Yeah. He was fine. He was no worse than Jordan Henderson. He was no better than, particularly, you know, it wasn't a great performance, but to come in after
that's a low bar.
But he's not started the game for his performance.
Do you know what? And again, I get it, within our fan base, there shouldn't be the level of sabotage. I completely agree with you there. I think it's because of the young crop of other English talent that you kind of reference or want to loosely compare him to, that he's not quite of those levels, so he isn't good. My argument for Curtis Jones is always, which way round would you rather it? Would you rather him be the Michael Owen, where he's quality from young, but he's burnt out by the time he's 24, and he's good for the chopping block? Or would you rather him come good from 24 and have a career until he's 32 and be a quality midfielder that then breaks into the England side?
I think it's an interesting point, though. I think people make too much of this. Your take on this, James, is like, I think everyone needs every player to be Phil Foden, or they need every player to be the next Jack Grealish or the next Saka.
Well, Jack Grealish is like 28 or 27 or something like that. He's not a spring chicken.
But like Manchester United had a habit of, you know, not everyone goes like the class of '92. Gary Neville had a very solid career without being an exceptional footballer. David Beckham was exceptional, Giggs was exceptional, but Nicky Butt was fine. And Phil Neville was fine, you know what I mean? And sometimes you naturally need, there's nothing wrong with having a Scouse lad who's just a capable squad member. We don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't know. Go on anyway, James. What's your thought?
No, I agree with you. I think I don't understand the torrent of negativity that Curtis Jones seems to attract for some reason. I don't know whether sometimes I feel like local players are maybe, unfairly judged, I think, by sections of the fan base as well. There's almost some insinuation, certainly that I see on social media, this idea that he, because he's Scouse, he's somehow like protected in some way, which is just an absolute nonsense. I mean,
ask Jordan Rossiter, John Welsh, Darren Potter, David Raven, God knows how many Scouse lads who
it was like,
haven't made the grade, haven't made it.
Kiva O'Neill, who I work with at the Athletic, she was down at Swindon last week, spending time with Tom Clayton and Jake Kane, obviously two ex-Liverpool Academy youngsters now playing in League Two, and Curtis came up in conversation. They both played with him obviously at the academy, and said the most technically gifted player they've ever like rubbed shoulders with. Unbelievable work ethic as well. And you think that just shows you the levels. Like this idea that he somehow shouldn't be there. He's played 87 games for Liverpool, just turned 22. I think some people misjudge just even in a season like this. The bar is ridiculously high for those kids, and it's like when people say, "Oh, where what's the point in the academy?" I see people say that, and you're like, well, for a start, you've got someone who, until probably the last 6 months, everyone would say was the best right back in European football, maybe in the world, and also the number of players in the last few years who the academy has produced that maybe haven't become regulars at Liverpool, but that doesn't mean that they failed, because again, before this season,
they've started to fill the coffers. They've actually started to, rather than just like eke out their careers and disappear down to lower leagues.
And that never used to happen, did it? When you think of the money for like Harry Wilson and Ryan Brewster and
Williams, we got good money for, didn't we? Nico Williams.
Nico Williams, Ryan Kent. That kind of shows you that the academy is working. And I still think Curtis Jones has got a role to play. Like, do I think he'll be a regular week in, week out? Probably not. But then you need depth, don't you?
I think the thing that goes against them as well, though, and it has to be said, is we need depth, but we need you to be available. And that's that's where you're going to look at it and think that's probably where you're going to miss out or you're going to lose points, because if in the event that we need to turn to you and you're not available or you're injured or you've got something where we can't put you on the pitch, that's where people are going to get frustrated. And you kind of got to understand that, I think.
I think that's where a lot of the animosities come from this season, to be honest, because Liverpool obviously got publicly well-known midfield problems, so we have been looking for the likes of Curtis Jones to step up and be accounted for, but he's not been available. Through no fault of his own, I must add.
He's just fucking turned up and played at Stamford Bridge. We should be going, amazing. We've got this young talent who's back available to play, on the pitch, instead of going, oh God, it's Curtis Jones.
That's his second start in a long period of time, and that therefore is the issue. I like him. I think he's got a lot of ability. On James's point, I don't think he will ever be a first team regular and star for Liverpool, but I think he's got a long-term future at the club. There's no two ways about that for me. And based on his midweek performance, I thought, like he said, and I referenced out there as well, he was decent. He was okay. Didn't necessarily grab his chance and say you've got to start him in the weekend, but he was absolutely fine.
He's fallen into the trap. I've mentioned this elsewhere, but I had this conversation with my cousin who's normally really upbeat. His dad is normally the most negative downbeat person on every Liverpool player ever, unless they lift the European Cup. It's like they're just not good enough to play. But hated Igor Biscan. He really had a tough time after Istanbul to rectify that one. But he's like, oh no, he's not good enough. He's not kicked on. He's like 24, 25 now. It's like he just turned 22. And I know 22s now. We need our stars to be world beaters at 16. Otherwise,
well, look at the kid they're trying to buy. I'm not going to even say his name, but he's of that age, performing at that level at 19.
Shares a name with the patron saint of lost causes, by any chance.
But you know what I mean? That's the level, and I think from like football fandom, Twitter, FIFA, 22, you should have been showing your worth by now to a younger fan base that are really into football. So it's hard
for Liverpool.
But it's hard to put context on it when it's like yeah, it's just mad. It is a mad world.
Yeah, there's probably lads who we deify. He probably made more appearances than like Yari Littman, and probably almost certainly will have made more appearances. You know, he's probably made a similar amount of appearances like someone like Gary McAllister, who, you know, and again, he's got some more highlight moments in there. But to have done that at 22 with all the injury issues,
with how good this squad has been as well,
literally
has been as well.
His problem, Abby, I think sometimes is that thing of he's been around for a surprising amount of time, and people get bored of players.
Yeah,
and like,
that's true.
so, and that's, you know, he was 17 when he was breaking in, and he looked really promising. And the COVID season, he got thrown into the deep end, and he was playing week in, week out. And I think in some regards that helps you sometimes, but I think I probably loaded a bit too much. It's like you become part of the furniture, and then when you don't immediately make big steps up, people do just kind of go, well, you know, it's like old toys, put them away.
But that's it now. We're in like that day and age of social media and stuff like that. You'll all experience that with Redmen, where if you're not like off to the races immediately, like if your trajectory is not going dead high in your first season, then you're seen as some sort of a failure, and then you just stick around for a bit too long. And especially with Klopp not using them that often, I just feel as though people get a bit frustrated with that. And it's very much give me a new toy, I want a new player, like throwing your dummy out the pram or whatever it's called, your toys out the pram. I just feel like fans nowadays, probably my age group as well, to be fair, like I'm literally Curtis Jones's age, I think. And like, not me. I mean, maybe I've kicked off a bit today when I've come on. Maybe I've kicked off immediately when I've come on, but I feel like people in my age group sort of have that thing now with social media where you want something new and fresh, and then you're watching all the other teams in the league.
COVID stole the end of your childhood, isn't
it? It did. It really did.
It's that instant gratification thing, though, isn't it? You want the ready-to-go, plug-and-play product like Phil Foden, like Jack Grealish to a lesser extent, and Curtis Jones isn't quite that for a whole host of reasons. If he hadn't had the injury problems, he may well be by now. His development might have carried on because he burst onto the scene. Let's be honest about the Derby goal, and then he scores against Ajax. He gets that when he scores against Brentford, another worldie. So it was going in the right direction, but injuries, the growing stuff, has curtailed him a little bit.
Just
but
cast
who knows?
too many jealous eyes at other young footballers, and because they're not our footballers, we don't get to watch the development. We don't pay as much forensic detail to it. We just presume they're brilliant all the time.
It's just there for us visibly.
And it's not helped by the fact that he's not Steven Gerrard, he's not Jude Bellingham, therefore he's not anything to a lot of fans. I think that's a big problem.
And it would be different if he had been fit all this season and he'd done very little. Then I think there'd be a fair debate now in terms of you know, does he still belong at Liverpool? But he's had this really freak injury as well. I didn't realise how strange it was till he stopped and spoke to a few of us after the game at Stamford Bridge the other night, and he's basically said the specialist said they'd never seen anything like it. This stress reaction in like the bottom of his tibia, and you know, even now he can't train more than 4 days in a row, and you know, he said that just meant that he couldn't. That was why he wasn't in the squad against Man City last weekend, because they were like, no, you have to rest it. So, you know, I think you know, it'd be very unfair to judge him now. I think, you know, through no fault of his own. I think you have to say, right, you know, next season is probably the fair time to say, you know, whether he's got a big part to play or not in Liverpool's kind of next phase under Klopp. And you know, and it may reach a stage where maybe he thinks, well, actually, if I'm not going to play regularly, then I probably do need to move on. But
he mentioned, didn't he, that he's clearly got offers on the table. There's clearly plenty of interest. There's no shortage of clubs who wouldn't mind Curtis on loan at least for a year.
No, there's been certainly in previous windows, there's been lots of interest. You know, bottom half of the Premier League and Championship as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people that think very highly of him.
Excellent. And not just me then, internet. Right, sound. In your face, Abby.
Let me just clarify. I don't hate Curtis Jones.
It's coming across that way, Abby, I'll be honest.
He performed fine. Everyone else was just boring, which made him look better. Yeah. That was the point I was going to make till everyone started going, by the way, Curtis Jones gets loads of hate.
It's fine.
Getting picked on.
We're going to take a very, very short break. After that, we are going to decide definitively who had the better team, Arsenal's Invincibles or Liverpool's 6-time Champions League winners in Madrid. See you in a sec.
Hey everyone, come and join us for the very first Redmen TV Liverpool quiz night live at Hotel Anfield. On Friday, May the 5th, we'll be down at Hotel Anfield for an outrageous evening of Liverpool trivia, party games, amazing prizes and incredible live music from Dave Jaggs of the Ragamuffins. Yes, hosted by our very own deadly duo, Mr. Chris Pajak and Mr. Paul Machin. We promise you an unforgettable Liverpool-themed night. It is the perfect precursor for the weekend's match. So if you're heading to our wonderful city for Liverpool versus Brentford, or if you're just looking somewhere to have an amazing night out with you and your mate, bring your trivia brain, bring your dancing shoes, and best of all, bring your shooting boots as well. So yeah, get your tickets now. Scan the QR code that's on the screen. If you go to ticketquarter.co.uk and just search for the Red Men TV, you can get them there as well. Or just find us on all of our social accounts and there'll be links there too. Don't delay, the tickets are going to sell out fast. There are only limited numbers as well. And best of all, if you want to get a group of your mates together, get on there. You can book tables and you'll get discount for buying as a group as well. So yeah, don't delay. Make sure you go and get them. Come and join us down at Hotel Anfield on May the 5th. It's going to be an absolute belter of a night. Make sure you're there. Go and get your tickets.
Hi, yes, welcome back. Yeah, do get your tickets for our live event. Steve did a very good job of explaining it, but I'll do a little bit more. It's not your normal quiz night in any way, shape or form. There will be some of that. So if you're a Liverpool trivia buff, it's going to stand you in pretty good stead. But also if you know lots about Liverpool songs, if you've got a good singing voice, that might stand you in decent stead. If you know which numbers are higher or lower than other numbers, that'll stand you in good stead. There's some mental challenges, physical challenges, all kinds of stuff all thrown in, and live music as well. It's going to be an absolute belter. What I've been saying is Liverpool have robbed us of so much happiness that they normally give to us into spring and summertime. So we're going to try and plug the gap. The happiness gap is going to be plugged by our live event, so come and join us on the 5th of May. Tickets are on the ticket quarter right now, so get involved. Right, okay, so we're playing Arsenal. We'll have to talk about the current Arsenal side, which is going to be fucking horrendous in a bit. So instead, let's get back on the nostalgia train. Yeah. And we don't have to go back to Istanbul anymore, guys, because this is what we had for so many years. Liverpool be poo, and we'd have no choice but to talk about Istanbul until the cows came home. Instead, what we can do is we can look back on a couple of teams, and in this instance, I've picked Liverpool's 18-19 side, the team that finished second in the Premier League on 97 points and won the Champions League versus Tottenham in Madrid for the 6th time.
We should get it just for that, because if Tottenham would have won a European Cup before Arsenal, they would have never been able. So we've done Arsenal a favour, so they should just give us props just for that.
Okay.
That's my opening argument.
Just throw that one out there.
Statements right there.
So
we'll build off from there.
I have spared no expense or time. In that I've spent no money and none of my own time in constructing this incredible board, which has got pretty much the most played 11 from both teams. I actually went for it's the 11 that only started the one game together for Liverpool, and that being the Champions League final, because apparently everyone thinks that team played loads. And I've got for predominantly what would be classed as people would class as the Arsenal team. We're going to go position by position, head to head, decide who was best, and then that will form our ultimate 11 to decide, what's the best of the best amongst Liverpool and Arsenal. We're going to start then with the goalkeepers, and I figure people's Jens Lehmann knowledge might not be great.
Oh, I've got some stats, yes.
Errol!
I'm going to plug the gap.
Errol!
Man's brought notes.
Yeah, I've brought notes. Are you serious?
Alisson Becker versus Jens Lehmann.
Okay, so in that summer, they splashed out on Jens Lehmann for, I think it was 1.5 mil. That was the fee, and he replaced David Seaman at the time.
From where?
I didn't look that deep. I didn't know that deep. Bought him.
You got the figure, but not where he came from.
He came from another football team, like probably somewhere.
Now you've said it. Yeah.
It was going so well until you thought the first hurdle. But either way, for 1.5 mil, you kind of got to argue that is really good value for money compared to the fact that we bought Alisson for our Champions League winning season, and he cost us upwards of 60 mil. Yeah. So that would have been a point for Jens Lehmann. However, when I went broken down the clean sheets, Alisson got 21 that season and Lehmann only got 15. So there's still quite a golfing class there. So,
well,
I'm very impressed.
Can I simplify this?
So am I.
Yeah, Alisson's better than Jens Lehmann.
There is that, but there's got to be logic to it as well.
Yeah, but sometimes in this, not with Jens Lehmann and Alisson though. Like Alisson's just better, like much better. Am I mad?
No,
No.
I don't think you are.
I don't think it's much of a debate, that one.
There are some
gotta be
arguments in
Alice.
this, but it's not this
pound
one.
for pound, like if you're gonna get win a trophy with a goalkeeper, and you know that goalkeeper, you can spend the rep. Think of where else you could have spent that money for 1.5 in today's money. What's 1.5 mil? It's probably about a 20 mil.
42 million.
Yeah, 20 odd.
It's about 20 odd million. That's
yeah.
a good value for money goalkeeper. That if you're going to go on to win something with them at the end of the season as well.
Definitely, yeah.
That was the.
No, you're right on that. Yeah, but...
Abigail Rudkin, do you know who Jens Lehmann is?
Can I just say, I was born in 2000 and I was 3 when Arsenal had their invincible season. And you know when Paul sent me the agenda yesterday, I was like, why have you invited me to this? So
she still knows where you're going from.
I'm going to be the one who just says like, oh yeah, Alisson's 100% better.
Well, in that instance, you're spot on. Whether you know.
I knew I was right anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One guy won the European Cup. The other guy cost their team the European Cup. Oh, not yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
future Jens Lehmann, because this is technically 2003, 2004 Jens Lehmann.
Yeah.
But he had a huge brain fart in the 2006 Champions League final.
And he also had a brain fart in one of the domestic cups as well. That got them knocked out that season.
They got beat by Middlesbrough, I think.
Middlesbrough, yeah. And they drew in the second leg and lost in the first leg.
Okay. So, I think we can unequivocally say
The other way around.
Alisson Becker is better than Jens Lehmann.
We should have ended the Invincibles as well, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
we went
but we
2-0 up, I
drew.
think, at their place. Yeah, we should have ended it.
Okay. Right. Let's go. We're off to a strong start then. We're going to move
And
on.
technically, they lost the first game of the season and the curtain raised it as well. But doesn't count, apparently.
Anyway.
You know.
I did my research.
Trent Alexander-Arnold versus Lauren. James?
I quite like Lauren, but again, not in the same class as Trent in 2018-19. It's for me, that's not too much of a contest, especially when 18-19 was the quickly taken corner, wasn't it? And it's got to be Trent. It's gotta be Trent.
I've got nothing to say about Lauren other than he was a right back for Arsenal Football Club. I think to Arsenal right backs over the years. I initially was writing down. I was going to just pick what I thought was Arsenal's most celebrated players, and I went for Lee Dixon first off the bat, and obviously Bakary Sagna comes years later and stuff. And I'm sure he's held in very high esteem, but I'm not sure.
One of them stickers back in the day in secondary school.
Yeah.
Panini.
Yeah, the Panini ones.
Yeah.
And you had loads of swaps of them.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so there's too many Laurens about, so that's what we're doing. There we go. Conclusively, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, here's I think our first really tasty one.
I've got the stats.
Ashley Cole, pre-Cashley. It's Ashley Cole. This is Andrew Robertson.
Me, yeah, this is among the toughest calls, I think, in this one, to be honest. Because Robbo, world class, absolute elite left back, but Ashley Cole was he a bit pioneering in a way of that left back role alongside your Roberto Carlos's and your Cafu's on the other side and Dani Alves as well on the other side. I think he kind of made the role what it is today, Ashley Cole, in many senses, and certainly in the Premier League at least. So I think I'd probably I'd probably just have to give it to Cole, and that's with a heavy heart because Andy Robertson is an outstanding left back, and he was in that season, and he's continued to be. But Ashley Cole was really, really good.
Is that because of his offensive side of his
Both.
game?
He had everything. Much like Robbo has everything, in my opinion. We can question Trent defensively, but Andy Robertson has everything. But Ashley Cole is outstanding in all departments as well.
Yeah.
So he's a good creator of chances.
He was superb.
Go on, Errol, leading us to something.
No. You just activated my trump card. In that season, Ashley Cole only got 3 assists. So it's nothing to write home about. Do you know what I mean? And I rate him. He's a good player, and again, I get the pioneering aspect of it.
Yeah.
But Andy Robertson, in the season we're comparing him to, he had 11 assists in the Premier League. This is just Premier League stats alone as well. You know,
That doesn't surprise me too much, to be fair.
Okay,
Doesn't surprise me a massive amount.
but you'd still pip him.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Interesting.
I tell you what, we need to know. I think we might need some audience interaction on this because I think it is.
I think
tough.
that is a real tough one. It's almost 50-50 for me, that.
Yeah.
I always think Ashley Cole gets kind of I think he's quite disliked. He was quite widely, wasn't he, in terms of just, there was stuff about, didn't he say he nearly crashed his car when he got Arsenal's contract offer, didn't he, which at the time was an outrageous sum of money, and how dare they only offer me 120 grand a week when no one was earning anything like that, weren't they? And then crossing London in the way he did. So I always think that kind of overshadows actually that he was. Lots of people don't want to admit it because they don't like him. But
was he better for Chelsea than he was for Arsenal? Because I feel like he was. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. But I think he was probably more of a complete fullback then. Yeah.
When I became conscious in life, he was like a Chelsea man and he cheated on Cheryl Cole, and I used to just dance to Fight for This Love thinking about Ashley Cole, and that was it. So my contribution goes to Robbo.
Yeah, well, that's a good
I think that's fair. I think that's a valid answer.
Have you got it on your stats? Actually, Ashley Cole. Robbo 0, Ashley Cole 1.
I would just say, I wasn't good to necessarily go down the cheat route, but I was going to say that he broke a lot of hearts in his time. He broke Arsenal's heart by moving to Chelsea, and he broke everyone else by marrying Cheryl Cole, who was, let's face it, top tier in the world at the time. Shock. I'm gonna look. If I read the comment here, a couple of AJ says Ashley Cole all day, best left back in the Prem era. Bowser Jr. says I love Robbo, but Cole wins. And Yusuf just says, give them Ashley Cole. So, okay, I will give them. I don't think it's
part of a team that went unbeaten.
Yeah, I think as a
that's got to count for something. Yeah,
just as a player, maybe not necessarily this specific season that we're talking about, or the 2 seasons rather, but as a player, I think Ashley Cole does just edge it.
Nostalgia's always tough to unpick in these things. I'll put that out. I should have said that at the start, really. And I think there's a couple of gimmies. I think Ashley Cole's probably known as the best left back in the Premier League era. There's a very good chance in 5 years' time people look back at Andy Robertson and go, actually, it was Cole then Robertson, but I'll give it to Cole. Okay. Which centre-back do we want to do next? Virgil or Joel Matip?
Go warm us up first.
I think Matip first. Okay. We just done a really tough one, so let's...
Joel Matip or Kolo Touré?
They're both hilarious. Can I start off with that? They're absolutely hilarious.
Both of them, yeah.
They're both like marauding forward when it's completely unnecessary. They're both like getting involved in attacking situations that they don't need to be involved in. But yeah, it's Matip, isn't it? I think on his day, I think it's Joel. Kolo Touré was brilliant, by the way. I think it's Matip for me.
Really?
It is. Yeah, I think he might still be underrated then if we're going to have this conversation.
No, I'm
Are you Kolo?
I'll let everyone else say first.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I love Kolo. I must admit, like I can't off the top of my head remember exactly what he was like that particular season, but he was just such a great fellow when he was at Liverpool. I think my favourite Kolo story was on one of the pre-season tours when I think it was in Brisbane, and they had one of those player kind of turn up and shake hands with people, and there was a koala bear there, and he was he ran off as soon as he saw this koala bear. He was just like, I'm not going, like, wouldn't go near it, and he was just like, I'm not going near that. And then obviously koala bears are quite, it's not like being asked to like have a boa constrictor around your neck or anything. It's like, and then
they come with some nasty germs, them koala bears, don't they? Like, don't want to get too close.
He's not a big fan of eucalyptus.
Yeah, he just said, and then he did the press the following day, and he got asked, what was the issue with the koala bear yesterday? And he went, I just can't handle any animals. He said, we've had a dog at home for years and I've never touched it.
Any animals? Any?
He just said I'm just not very good with animals. Yeah.
I've never known anyone not be good with animals exclusively. That's a new one.
Has that tipped your opinion on anything,
I'm
Errol?
giving it to Matip for that reason.
Yeah.
It's Matip.
It's not though. It's genuinely not. Like I love Joel Matip as well. Like, he's quality. But if you're talking about which of those two centre-backs was a better footballer, Kolo Touré was definitely better. He just was. He was.
Wow.
Like, he's the one that, he was the centre-back that I had all day. I was like, all right, we've lost that one. And I'd have even, the only thing that kind of pulls him down, was it Suarez against, was it Arsenal where Suarez hit that shot
and
on
it hits him.
And then it hits him. Yeah. Like, if he scores that to give the best assist the Premier League's ever seen, it would have been nailed on. But for me, he's still a better footballer than Joel Matip.
Had a better song, and that's where it ends. It's Joel Matip.
Okay, we might have to do a show of hands to this one. Okay, hands for Joel Matip. Sorry,
no, there's no point.
Soz Errol. I think there's a good point here.
I just don't know how we've now combined almost a back five, because I know who's going to get the next one, where an invincible team that doesn't get beat for an entire season only gets one of their representatives.
Would you like to know how many goals that Arsenal conceded in the league that season?
They did leak quite a few, to be fair.
They conceded only conceded 26 goals in 38 games in the league that season.
How many did Liverpool concede?
Funny you should ask that. Thank you, James. Liverpool conceded 22 goals in the league that season.
So it's not a great deal.
4 whole
And they
goals.
didn't lose a game, though.
Liverpool lost 1 game.
We did, but we drew a shit ton against some
We drew
shit
7.
teams. Yeah.
Do you know how many they drew?
They drew
12.
more.
12.
We got more.
They
Liverpool
got
got more
12.
points, didn't they?
Yeah,
many more.
Liverpool got 7
Yeah.
more points.
Yeah.
Feels like you're going against your own argument at this point.
I
Eric.
know.
You're well more. You drew some games.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Colo. Colo is out.
got
Joel
binned
Matip is in. Okay.
My Arsenal contingent are going to send for me later. Really.
Spending too much time with them, mate. Stop and seeing said. Sol Campbell, the most hated man in North London. Or Virgil van Dijk. I think Sol Campbell, James, gets really overlooked when people think about the best centre-halves in the Premier League era. I think weirdly people's minds seem to go as far as Rio Ferdinand and then stop. Like the way, and then people go, Tony Adams gets thrown out there periodically. He was like head and shoulders above everything else in the Premier League at that time when he moved from Spurs to Arsenal.
Yeah. I go along with that. He was quality. Probably in a similar way to Ashley Cole, maybe in terms of because of some of the decisions he made, burnt his bridges with people, and probably doesn't get remembered as in kind of the light that he probably should be. But in saying that, I'm still not picking him in this team because that's Van Dijk's first full season as a Liverpool player, and when you compare Liverpool defensively pre-Van Dijk and post-Van Dijk, is for me probably the most transformative signing for Liverpool in the Premier League era.
Anyone else?
Do you think that was his best season, by the way, Van Dijk, the first one? Between the year after was his peak.
Probably, maybe the year after.
Yeah,
but he
yeah,
was. I mean, he was
after.
brilliant that season as well.
No, I think we're right. Sorry,
Go on.
I think we're right to give Sol Campbell a lot of credit in this because he was an outstanding centre back. I actually don't think he's done himself a huge amount of favours in how he's viewed in the public eye after his football career's finished. His managerial stuff hasn't worked out, and he's been quite open, let's say, about why the reasons are behind that, which is fair enough, and he's entitled to his opinion, but it hasn't done him any favours, I think it's fair to say. But having said all of that, again, brilliant centre-half, again, always pioneering in his role in the way he played it, because he was outstanding. But it's Virgil van Dijk, I mean, phenomenal footballer.
Didn't Virgil van Dijk win the Player of the Season as well? But yeah, in the Prem.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah, he did.
So, yeah, nailed on.
Sorry, Sol Campbell. There we go. We've got our back four then. Trent, Joel, Virgil and Ashley. I'm sure there's Arsenal fans. Their caps lock could not be any more. If there was a way to double caps lock, it would be double caps lock right about now. But there you go. Kind of wish I'd written my little title out slightly more central. I don't know if did I say this on the show? Unfortunately, I wrote it in permanent marker. So that's not going anywhere. Okay, let's move on. Let's do DM. Which means we've got, let's be honest, there's an argument
Recency
about
bias is going to go against Fabinho here, mate. Let's be honest.
Fabinho might be in a spot of bother against Patrick Vieira right now, unless we've got a major group of people who remember Patrick Vieira more as Crystal Palace manager than they do as a central midfielder. So I'll come to Abi first. Are you allowed, can you disassociate the fact that Fabinho's been a bit poo this season?
No, I really struggle because I've slagged him off loads on Redmen. Like I've called him all kinds, so can't really do that. I mean, I can, but only because I've probably watched them play more. I can't give it to him.
Well, think about 18, 19.
No, I can't give it to
He
Fab.
comes in after Kiev, literally
hours.
within hours of settling
Cheered
back
me
down.
up a bit that we signed him.
I did that reaction video from the car in the caravan park. Because I just got off the plane from Kiev, went to the caravan park, and we signed him. He was transformative for that Liverpool team.
That's fine.
So you're more than welcome to do Fabinho shouts.
No, I won't. No, I won't. I'm not going to do it. Everyone's giving me dirty looks.
Is that the season where Vieira and Keane have the bust up?
Or in the tunnel.
Yeah.
They have it every year, I think, if you want to yeah. The problem is here, everyone, is Fabinho was a brilliant player. Absolutely no two ways about it. Could be a brilliant player again for Liverpool. And in a way, I'm going to say something here that might be a bit controversial. He actually had what it takes as a footballer to sort of break into this similar bracket to what Vieira's in. He's got all the attributes. He was the best DM in the world for a period. So had he have continued on that path this season, you could have a proper conversation about this. However, Patrick Vieira had everything.
Yeah.
Had absolutely. He's like Gerrard type bracket. But not as good as Gerrard, but this is the sort of bracket we're talking about here. So when it boils down to it, it's Patrick Vieira, unfortunately. Just is, guys.
Well, yeah, one of the greatest midfielders of the entire Premier League era, Vieira, just, absolutely. If you were trying to make a centre midfielder in a factory, I think you'd probably come up with him in terms of ability and physicality and, at absolutely everything. I don't even think that's kind of, with Fabinho's recent issues, I don't think even Fabinho 18-19 peak Fabinho doesn't get close to this one, unfortunately.
Okie dokie. Okay, I'm going to put Vieira in there. And we've had someone actually make this point, saying, when you compare Gilberto Silva to Fabinho, I could have done, but I chose not to. They played a different formation, they did. So it's slightly tough, but Vieira was very capable, very much a DM as well. So we will move on to that question. I did consider Gilberto Silva, but I put Gilberto Silva alongside Gini Wijnaldum.
I think recency bias is going to bite us in the arse again,
Okay.
Because I feel like we're here now looking, thinking, oh, what are we missing without having a Genie?
Yeah, you're right.
And that consistency and what he offered us and being readily available at any given moment.
I miss him very much.
Like, I reckon he's the type of person you could have belled up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and been like, there's a game of Togger, are you up for it? And he'd have been like,
You up, Genie?
yeah, like, literally. So I feel like because we're pining so badly for a readily available midfielder, I'm in the Genie camp, I'm being honest.
I am.
And the headers against Barcelona. Like
Gilberto,
exactly.
Gilberto was really, really good, especially in that season. He was outstanding for Arsenal. So you're probably right, and I might well fall down on that myself. But I think we're going to forget. Like everyone remembers Patrick Vieira, everyone remembers Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole the same. But he was one of the underrated members of this team, and he was phenomenal for them. So there's definitely a conversation. In many senses, actually a good argument to have with these two, because Wijnaldum was often underrated and overlooked by Liverpool fans whilst he was here. It's only now that he's gone we're all pining for him. And in many senses, Gilberto was overlooked a little bit for Arsenal, so it's a good conversation.
Yeah, 2018-19, Gini Wijnaldum makes 47 appearances, all comps, 5 goals in that time. Again, not necessarily what you're looking for from those players, though. 304, 45 appearances, all comps for Gilberto, and 4 goals. So there's not loads to put between them. James, wanna?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't have that many memories of Gilberto Silva, really.
That's the problem.
Under the radar, similar,
Just not, but for that reason, I'm going Wijnaldum.
Okay. Yeah. Doesn't take much to twist my arm on that one, I'll be perfectly honest. So I'm going to put Genie in there.
And I love, like, Wijnaldum, like, that Champions League run, when you think he played as the false 9 in the Nou Camp, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then got left out the second leg.
Yeah.
Furious that he got left out, and then comes on and says, "Right, I'll show you," and then did what he did in the 4-0 against Barca. So
I think
for that reason alone,
in a season, absolutely, huge goals in the Champions League semi-finals.
Arsenal's Champions League group that season was piss poor. They only had Inter in there, so they should have gone further than they did.
Yeah,
we had some big dogs.
Okie dokie. It is Jordan Henderson versus
the Romford Pele.
The Romford Pele, Ray Parlour. Now there's a chance. At one point in my life, I've had both of these phone numbers in my thing. So I've shared a special bond with both of these players at different times of my life. I used to host a show with Ray Parlour back on YouTube back in the day. Good guy. Excellent pint, which has got over Jordan because I think he's teetotal. I'm not. I mean, someone's probably going to say I've badly overlooked the midfielder, and there's a very good chance that I have. But we've got the Romford Pele.
Never has a nickname been so misplaced as the Romford Pele for Ray Parlour. It's wild. And good footballer.
Is it
fine.
like a satire at that point? Like,
Possibly. I don't think it was at the time. I think it was meant. I think it was pretty sure it was
I
meant.
think he was very highly regarded.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, fine footballer. Nothing wrong with Ray Parlour as a footballer. Like, played a massive part in
He
this
just
side, but
looked like a shit Steve McManaman.
he could run though, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He just ran. That's all I remember. He just ran forever and ever. He never stopped. But yeah, I mean, it's Jordan Henderson, and I think this comes round against the Jordan Henderson conversation, and we do it now to this day. I'm guilty of it myself, as you say, brilliant captain, brilliant leader. God, we miss him when he's not around. But I and other people never mention his quality. And I think we're all guilty of that. And I think in this season especially, we need to talk about how brilliant he is as a footballer more, and the contribution he makes, the assists he gets, the goals he chips in with, the important ones along the way as well. And I think I almost did it again then, but for me, in terms of quality as a footballer, let alone his leadership, Jordan Henderson wins this battle.
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
Yeah, I am. Again, both very sound. One of them was the captain, European Cup winning, lifting captain. And the other one was Ray Parlour.
For someone with a nickname of Pele as well, he gets
Apparently
no
Mark
goals and no
Overmars
assists.
gave him the nickname.
Did he?
Really?
Mark over the limit.
He's defo taking the piss there, though, and he gets no goals, no assists. You're winding him up.
Is it like the Scouse Cafu thing?
Yeah, like it's got to be.
Yeah. Okay, so our team is taking shape. The midfield three then of Patrick Vieira, Jordan Henderson, and Jorginho Wijnaldum. Pretty decent. Right, we're getting into the really tasty stuff, and the stuff that's probably going to get us absolutely slaughtered in the comments. Errol sent me a message yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
I was a little unhappy with our potential pairings for this one.
I thought it was unfair, yeah.
Now, bear in mind, we have overlooked, I think Freddie Ljungberg's one of the players who's been overlooked in this, because Arsenal played more of a four. Yeah. Arsenal played more before.
He scores the winning goal.
Yeah. Arsenal played more of a 4-4-2, so it's tough to judge this one in the same way. So it's not quite the even balance. But I've gone with Sadio Mane versus Thierry Henry. Now, Errol didn't want this to be a thing until Errol looked deeper into Thierry Henry's stats.
That season.
And have you got any more contention? Would you like Thierry Henry?
What were the stats?
I think he scores 30 goals, 6
in the league.
Yeah, 30 goals in the league, 6 assists. And I think he ends up with like nearly 40 odd goals in all competitions or something like that. He had a phenomenal season that season, Thierry Henry. Like, ridiculous.
And that was before it was normal as well.
Yeah.
Those numbers are normal now. For your Harry Kane, Mo Salah's, he's kind of made it normal. Erling Haaland, it wasn't normal back then to do that sort of thing.
Yeah. I love Sadio Mane. I desperately love. And he's up there. And again, he's another one, I think, when he retires, James, people will look back on him in that top echelon of Premier League players, particularly because he had a good time at Southampton before joining Liverpool as well. But Thierry Henry is probably the best player ever to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, I go along with certainly probably my favourite non-Liverpool Premier League player ever. I think Thierry Henry.
Same.
Whenever they came to Anfield in that era, it was just ridiculous watching him. When I think I think Jamie Carragher puts him up there, doesn't he, with probably the toughest opponents he's ever had, and
because he had Jamie on strings every single season.
Right.
But it's a rarity, isn't it, to be that quick, but to have the ability to go with it, to actually utilise it and punish defenders that you can get away from, like Thierry Henry did. So Sadio couldn't have been too far behind in terms of
he was.
goals in all
Yeah,
comps
he got
that season.
22,
goals in all.
like
Well,
Prem, I think.
He must have got 25 or...
Him and Aubameyang and Salah all finished on 22, so they shared the golden boot that season.
Yeah.
So yeah, all comps. I'm not 100% sure what he finished on, Sadio.
Yeah, couldn't have been. Yeah, but yeah, Thierry Henry has got to be.
Can someone say it should be Sadio so I can grab Errol's leg and Henry-esque style? It should be Sadio.
It should be Sadio.
Right, sad. Okay,
Even
well,
I'm
yes,
not saying that.
we will give it to Thierry Henry because unreal. And I just
Special mention to that Sadio goal in the Bernabeu, not the Bernabeu, in Bayern now. In the
Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible that.
I was lucky to be there. Phenomenal.
absolutely one of
Ridiculous.
the best aways I've ever had in my entire
Yeah,
life.
boss.
Okay, shall we do centre forward or the other side next?
The other side, I think.
Okay.
And this is who I think should have been up against Henry as well, to be fair.
Mohamed Salah, Robert Perez.
Because this is a no-brainer.
Because it's interesting, because I think to your point, in terms of how they're regarded in the side, I think Robert Perez and Sadio Mane are probably held in the same sort of regard. Absolutely adored, but very much the other really good player in the team.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously Salah and Henry are the two absolute stars of those sides. Perez is fantastic. I got to interview him a couple of years ago doing the Pro Evo stuff, and he's a brilliant fella as well. But
No.
It's a no-brainer.
Just
No,
Mo,
obviously,
isn't he?
it's Mo Salah. I mean, you know, I know absolutely everything about Arsenal Invincible. From the 3 compilations I watched this morning.
There's almost no point you chipping in because you know it all anyway. So
I know, man's just spot on anyway.
yeah, without a doubt. Have I fixed this ever so slightly?
Slightly, yeah.
Yes.
The Perez involvement in that farcical penalty, which I think was with Henry as well, isn't anything to get him out of any argument against Mohamed Salah, let alone the stats.
Yeah.
It's just Salah, yeah.
Robert Perez, absolutely unbelievable. One of the best wingers in the Premier League, but Mohamed Salah,
Shit all over him.
beyond, absolutely beyond. Okay, cool. So there we go. Mohamed Salah takes his place.
I was going to say, this is an
This
interesting
is the
shot
best
now.
one for me now.
Really?
Yeah, I love
is.
this one.
Okay.
I know.
So, Roberto Firmino, Dennis Bergkamp.
Footy purists are always going to go for Bergkamp, aren't they? They're going to
Yeah.
salivate over the name.
Nostalgia merchants.
Yeah.
Both of them get my juices flowing, you know. Both them, because they're
Oh my
pure
God.
footballers.
This is why you didn't
That's
wear
what I
shorts
love.
on this show.
I physically couldn't, because we'd have been in major trouble. There's just something about the way both of them play the game I just adore. Like, I love Thiago, and it's a bit off topic, but the way he goes about his business as well, I think Bergkamp and Firmino both fall into that category. Just the grace in which they did it with is just a joy to watch.
James?
Yeah, really, really difficult, that one.
Would you like to know a stat or two?
Yeah,
Okay. So, Roberto Firmino in 2018-19 scored 12 and 34 in the Premier League, got 16 goals in 48 appearances in all comps. Dennis Bergkamp made a grand total of 38 appearances in all competitions, scoring 5 goals.
Is that all that season?
Just 5. The most he ever scored in a Premier League in a season for Arsenal was 22 in all comps. 16 was the most Premier League goals he ever scored in his whole time in the Premier League.
Really, yeah.
So that shows how freakish what Henry went on to do.
But he wasn't.
But he was the linchpin
Yeah, he
in it.
wasn't so much the goal scorer.
What was the assist? Has he got any assists in that season?
I haven't got that to hand.
To hand, yeah.
That would have been a
I
useful
struggle,
stat.
yeah.
If the Newcastle goal was among those 5 goals, though, then that makes up about 10 more, because that is one of the best things I've ever witnessed. The touch.
He didn't mean it.
Do you not think?
Is it that's the one where he touches it and just volleys it?
Well, he touches it round and goes the other way.
Spins it.
Which was the one he scored at the World Cup that was ridiculous
As well, yeah, that was a volley, wasn't it?
Was that against Argentina? Or?
Yeah, that was the one that he then did a slightly worse version of against Leicester,
Right.
where he pulls it down from over his shoulder and then opens the body
yeah.
up and sticks it. I mean, hell of a player. Again, absolute legend of the Premier League. But I've been banging this drum all season, long before I knew Firmino was leaving Liverpool, that Bobby Firmino he should be thought of like Bergkamp, and like Zola, and like those type of players who didn't score 1 million goals, but you were just blessed to see them in the Premier League for that time. But if we're going on individual season performances, Bobby Firmino scored more goals.
I'm going the way that I'm looking at it now. We've got 10 world-class players on that board. Who is going to be the glue that knits all that together? And I know you're holding up Bobby, but I feel like there's a argument to potentially say that would be Bergkamp's ideal job. Like Bergkamp linking up with Salah and Henry. Does it get much better than that as a front three in football? Does it really?
I think it does with Roberto Firmino doing it. Well, genuinely though.
Really though?
Yeah,
Like,
honestly, yeah. And the beauty of Firmino
said it with a straight face. Of course he means it.
is he wasn't scared of flying, so he could actually go. So he's got so much more going for him, in my opinion.
It's like B.A. Baracus would have been a better member of the A team if he could have gone on the plane. Like,
Exactly that, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dennis Bergkamp got 9 assists that season, so just 5 goals and 9 assists. I'll find Bobby Firmino's in a second just to put it into context. But the Firmino, again, there's nostalgia, and I'm happy for Bergkamp to be in the team because I adore Dennis Bergkamp from afar. I think he's one of the best.
What does the
of all
team look
time.
like with Bergkamp? Let me have a little.
Okay, so the team would look and feel like this.
That's a heavy looking.
That is a heavy looking team, I agree. But can we just, for the sake of argument, what about that?
Looks
How does
heavier.
that feel? What does that do? What do you think, Abby?
Looks heavier.
Heavier? Yeah,
Yeah.
see?
Heavier.
Errol's not
heavier.
feeling it.
Nah, I am feeling it, Joe. I mean, like, there's, and the fact that, well, we didn't put yet. To be fair, there's a Brazilian. When there's a Brazilian in the squad there as well, like it does kind of add that extra sauce.
Roberto Firmino got 8 assists, so 1 less assist,
And more
but he scored
goals.
16
More
goals.
goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should let James
That's the
decide.
thing.
Yeah,
Cast
James,
a
go
vote on this one.
Cast a
Firmino.
vote.
Yeah,
Firmino.
there you go.
Yeah, we
What are
happy?
you saying, Paul?
I think it's Bobby Firmino,
Okay.
and I think
Based on
time-
that, probably based if you're comparing the 2 seasons, it's got to be him, isn't it?
I think time will be very kind
But
to our selections on this team.
We will. I think you're right, but we've went and we've strayed from the logic because Robbo didn't get in with better numbers than Ashley Cole pound for pound that season, and we shoehorned Bobby in. Is all I'm saying. That's my last point, and I'll close on that statement.
Okay, listen, I'm reasonably happy with that. If you've got a debate
We
or
live
an
in a
argument,
democracy. It's cool.
so Alisson, Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Cole, Vieira, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Salah, Firmino, Henry. Ridiculous.
That team goes invincible and wins Europe in 2003.
That team
And
doesn't lose that one game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. I can get behind that. If you disagree wildly with that, use the comments section underneath. Please feel free. And I'll tell you now, if you're watching this on YouTube in years to come, hopefully just come back to me and say, look, you were right. Bobby Firmino is held up in that regard in years to come, thought of as better than Dennis Bergkamp. Should be. Do you win did he win the Copa America as well? Not like them, but yeah, just saying better. Bobby Firmino, better than Dennis Bergkamp. History's going to be kind. We've had some comments and stuff we'll get through, so we're going to be previewing Arsenal versus Liverpool after the break. Make sure you stay tuned and we'll be back in a sec. Hey everyone, what's happening? We've got a fantastic competition running over on redmenplus.com and it's entering its final few days. It is for this, a Liverpool replica shirt signed by the legend himself, John Aldridge. If you want to be in the draw for that at the end of the month, head to redmenplus.com, join as a club legend, upgrade from club captain, and your name will be in the hat, and this could very soon be on your wall.
Were you in the Judge Dredd movie?
Yeah,
Fuck off.
you were a
judge in it, weren't you?
yeah. I had a cough and a spit. I was on it for a week, and they spelt me fucking name wrong in the credits. So I play this judge, and it's me and 12 stuntmen, and we all come in on these motorbikes, get off, and go down the alleyway clearing all the vagrants and battering everybody. And as I get down, I'm the last one down the bottom of the alley. This robot comes up out the ground, and my line is, Jesus Christ. And it swipes me and kills me, and that was me. So that was my role.
Will, our drummer, is by far the most insane member of our band.
They always are, though, aren't they?
Oh,
drums?
mate, I mean, 2 weeks before we go to Vancouver to do a gig, I get a phone call, not from Will, but from Will's girlfriend, Ellie. All right, Ellie, how are you doing? Hi, mate, it's Will. I said, oh, hiya, Will, how you doing, mate? What's up? Not very well, mate. I've been doing a gig with, I was doing a gig in Bath last night. Yeah, I was doing some skateboarding when I was pissed, and Bath's quite hilly. How is it? So I fell off, and he realised very quickly that he'd broken one of his wrists, and he was like, oh, Christ. So he phones an ambulance. No response. So he orders an Uber. The Uber turns up, And he goes to open the door with his other hand and goes, Christ, this hurts. Looks at his other hand, realises his other one's broken as well.
Yes, if you want another dose of Redmen uncensored goodness, then stay tuned over on redmenplus.com. In about 15 minutes after the end of this show, we're going to be doing a brand new edition this week. If you want to use the code TNP, you'll get a 50% discount off your subscription as well. Go to redmenplus.com, go to Club Captain Monthly, Steve's normally here to help me with this, and get 50% off for 3 months. Thanks, Joe. Code helps on the screen immeasurably. Yeah, a really, really amazing discount, which takes you down from £5 a month to just £2.50 a month. Inflation busting. So you get yourself some content that's going to hopefully either make you feel better about life when Liverpool are making it worse, or, you know, just basically, yeah, hopefully stop you crying so much. We've been through bad times before. We're quite well versed in it. We had fucking Roy Hodgson as our manager when we started doing this. It's called perspective. We'll be fine. Cool. Join us over there. Let's now turn our attentions to Arsenal, Liverpool at Anfield this Sunday. Oh God, James Pearce. When we were looking at this 3-game run of fixtures, I don't think we really were hoping that we'd come to Arsenal at the end of it needing to win. It's certainly possible. Our record at Anfield is still good. The crowd will hopefully be behind them. But Arsenal are different gravy this season. It will be a hell of a challenge. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, they've. I must admit, they've surprised me. I thought they would fall away at some point. But you've got to give Arteta a lot of credit when you think. Doesn't feel like it was that long ago when, you know, was it the start of last season when they lost? Was it the first 3 without scoring a goal and all the noise around it? And he made some bold calls, didn't he? With, you know, shipping out some big names and high earners and putting his faith in youth. And you'd say, you know, they've almost been Liverpool-esque in terms of recruiting really wisely, and proving that you can strengthen from even when you're outside the Champions League if you're clever with it. And yeah, they've been ridiculously consistent. But in saying that, and I do think I'm strangely confident. I don't know why, but I know it just defies logic in some ways. But you know, first home game for Liverpool since the 7-0 against United 5 weeks ago, and God, it feels like 5 years ago rather than 5 weeks. But yeah, I think Arsenal haven't won at Anfield for 11 years. You know, there was all that business, wasn't there, with Arteta blaring out "You never walk alone" on the training pitch, and like very strange and all that. And you know, and then he actually brought the place to life himself, didn't he, by picking a fight on the touchline that Liverpool would produce nothing that day, and then he got them going. So hopefully he might do the same on Sunday. So I thought before the week started, I thought 5 points minimum really in terms of top 4. Obviously now you think 4 would be unbelievable and would just give you that tiny glimmer of hope. But yeah, they do command respect, Arsenal, but I still think there's pressure on them. There's a lot more pressure on them actually. I think probably more than on Liverpool going into this one. And I think they've got this thing, Abby and James mentioned there, because they haven't got a great record at Anfield, that will be in the backs of their minds going into this. Yeah. You know, it's a hurdle. Every game's a hurdle. This whole take it one game at a time is absolutely fine. But they're getting to that business part of it now, and going to somewhere where you have got a terrible record. You're fighting against the record as well as for the standard 3 points as well. Yeah, well, we've been there and we know what the pressure's like going up against Man City in a title race, and they're the ones who are going to be flapping it, not us. Especially if the players feel the way most of us do about top 4, to be honest. If they're feeling like, oh, we're not getting top 4, then we're going in it with sort of no expectations, which I think sort of takes stress off us, really. Yeah. It's taking stress off me, like. It stops me worrying, but yeah, and anyway, I feel like they're the ones that are going to be feeling a bit more stressed than we are, which is making me feel very hopeful. Plus, we don't really lose when I go to the game, so we'll be fine. There you go. Errol, how you doing?
I'm not looking forward to it.
It sounds like you're very worried about your WhatsApp groups, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, nah, do you know what it is like? I've said it for a while. This might not even be the right time for this conversation, but Arsenal fans are the most unbearable fans online. I'll be so real about it. And the fact of the matter is, if they manage to win this league this season, forget how bad the rest of the standard of the league has been in order for that to have happened. But if they do, there will be Arsenal fans that will say it with chest that Mikel Arteta should be held in the same breath as Jurgen Klopp because they both hold one Premier League trophy. And that's what I can't live with. And there have been seasons over the last couple of years where, again, going back to that 18-19 season, we draw with Arsenal in October of that season. I think it was either 1-1 or 0-0, but we draw with them. If we beat them and they do us a favour, we win that league on 99 points while City have got 98. Last season, if they didn't shit the bed, like, unknowingly to us, Arsenal have been a team that have not done us any real solids in the footballing grand scheme of things for a hot minute, you know. And they're going to expect us now to roll over so they can tickle our bellies. No chance. But there is still a chance that that's just going to happen, and I'm going to be really gutted by it.
Yeah. Who would you rather won the league?
It's better the devil you know, James.
Yeah.
It's better the devil you know. And it's because we've seen it, we've been there, we've went toe-to-toe right up into the last day, and we've had our hearts broken. And then we've done it again, and we've been realistic to the facts that City will go to the last day and go to the wire.
It would do my head in if Arsenal won the league at like the first attempt without having to go through the heartbreak first. Because like it's like, you know, it's they say like
facts,
the best drivers fail the first
time.
test.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's nothing to do with how I manage to pass my driving test.
It would crush me because they would feel as though they have earned the right to stick the chest out and have that. And to some extent you have, because you've won the Premier League. We did it. Yeah, like, we did it. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, when you're going up against the juggernaut of City, you don't just get to, like, why would City, like, bow out to them? Like, we've been pushing them for that long. Why would City go, yeah, you know, like, why would you let your understudy, you're not going to let your apprentice steal your job, are you? Do you know what I mean? And that you're not, like, he's letting Arteta steal a march on him if he goes on to do it. I just don't, it just doesn't sit well with me. And from an Arsenal fan perspective, the timeline will be a lot more unbearable if they go on to win it.
I get where you're coming from with that, but that's by the by to me. It's just one of them things. Like,
Would you rather Arsenal win it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I can't stand Man City. Can't stand Pep Guardiola or Arsenal.
It feels hollow when City win.
When they win
like
it.
Arsenal win it, because they've done it the right way, as well as all the points that James made before.
The Liverpool way.
Well, yeah, they've done it, and we can respect that. So there will still be a level of respect, but it would hurt that I guess, as Paul said, they haven't had to earn it. They've almost just kind of went toe to toe and just kind of casually got themselves across the line, and it's like the seasons just don't align for Liverpool in that way.
I like the idea because I think there's more the romantic in me, the more nobility in the way that Arsenal have done it. You know, nobility in one set of billionaires doing it over another set of billionaires instead of another set of billionaires. But I like that approach, and I like the more organic approach. Is what Liverpool have done. I feel like there's a little bit more honour or whatever in that. But also, every time we've been in a title race, nobody's wanted us to win it, and because more people hate us than hate Man City, and it's a little bit like that. I don't like. I admire the way they play. I love seeing people happy. You know, we watched my Instagram story the other day. There was people having a mad rave 2 doors from ours the other day when I was settling down having my decaf tea. But everyone was having a boss time, and I'm fine with that as long as it's not banging on my doors and windows at 2 in the morning and people having a good time. I like people having a good time, but I'm old enough to remember them fucking beating us in Anfield and stealing the title from us, you know, in 89. So I give a fuck Arsenal. Yeah. I don't, you know, City are just like, it's like taking a mulligan on the season because City have cheated the way. They might as well cheat another one. They might as well cheat another football club out of the title, and at least there'll be more people who hate City, and then eventually a groundswell of more people around the Premier League will put eyes towards City and start to actually scrutinise that, as opposed to giving them a pass because you hate their opponent more than them.
Well, let me put it to you this way as well. You get to go on a BetMate show and you're sitting across the table from Arsenal Fan TV's Ty, and he's trying to compare Klopp and Arteta because he will. How do we live in that world? How do you keep your sanity in that conversation?
Yeah.
It's got to be City. It's got to be City, Dad. It's got to be.
I flip between the two. Like, one minute I'm like, oh yeah, it's better for the league if Arsenal win it, and then the next minute I'm like, yeah, but I like the idea of us being the only ones who managed to sort of bring City down in this moment, and then it sort of makes me feel better about the last couple of years that we managed to bring them down. And if Arsenal go and do that in the first year, I don't know. It doesn't take away from what we achieved, but it does a bit.
I just give credit to Arsenal in that instance. I think sometimes you just got to take your hat off to another football club, and the way Mikel Arteta's gone about his business, the one hurdle he hasn't overcome yet is Anfield, ironically enough, and getting that result over the line, which we'll hopefully not see on Sunday either. But for me, it's just bad. Like, Leicester won the league a few years ago. That doesn't diminish what Liverpool went and did.
No. That's different though, because they was outsiders. Like, I'll clap for Arsenal for finishing second. Well done, boys. You've done really well, and you've made. Otherwise, without you this season, the league would have been boring, because it would have been a bygone formality that City were just going to walk.
Leicester were never sticking around as well.
100%, yeah, that's another point entirely. But can I ask you this then? So last weekend, when all that went on with Man City, were you still team Man City win the league?
When we was playing?
The chanting and everything else that went with it. Like, I don't want them to enjoy another Premier League victory.
Honest, right now, City's winning whatever apart from the Champions League, they can win every other competition and it will never make a difference to me, because they're cannon fodder. They're not serious. They're not about that life. Do you know what I mean? They're really not. Like, you can respect the players and you can respect Pep and what he does, but them as a club, I can't really take ultra serious, and like the fan base, I don't really take it that serious, because for me, until they're able to create that legacy, and as Paul was saying before, where you've got swaths of fans from all over hating you for various different reasons, it will never mean that much if City go on to do it. Whereas Arsenal have already established in that department, so it would be very difficult to take, especially with the added fuel that they'd have on Klopp.
Not wrong with a bit of Schadenfreude every now and again. So, you know, reveling in the misery of other people is absolutely fine. You know, just to get onto the game and a little bit of the history, we've scored 19 goals against them in our last 5 games at Anfield. That's a thing. I'd like 5 league games at Anfield, I should say. It doesn't really count for anything necessarily at the moment, but we actually had a super chat in, or a comment in from one of our Wonder Kids members here on YouTube. Says, do you think we could see something mad by seeing Diaz, Salah, Nunes and Gakpo in the side on Sunday? If we do, what formation do you think we'll use? James, what do you think? Is it a bit too soon for Diaz?
Yeah, he definitely won't start the game. I think Klopp said earlier on in the week, he said there was an outside chance of him being on the bench against Arsenal. He said, more realistically, Leeds away would be his comeback game. But you do wonder, having seen Liverpool struggle again as an attacking force. And I just think also, if you're thinking about feel-good factors and getting people going, just having Diaz on the bench, I just think surely you'd to me, that would be a shrewd move. Just to, even if you think, well, maybe you only bring him on if we desperately needed a goal with 10, 15 to go. I just think him warming up on the touchline just instantly just lifts the atmosphere around the place. So yeah, it's going to be interesting team wise. I think, as we touched upon at the start, I just don't think anyone who came in the other night, really staked a claim to be captain. Probably apart from Nunes, I think I definitely, Jota worries me at the moment. I think it's to me it's got to be Gakpo. I think was clearly rested because he was only one of 3 outfield players Klopp spared from criticism after the game at the Etihad. So I think it's got to be Gakpo, Nunes and Salah. And then I think, Van Dijk, as long as he's completely over the illness, him and Konate, Trent and Robertson come back in. And then, it'll be Henderson, Fabinho plus, one other, Harvey Elliott, potentially. Probably, I'd be surprised if he played Curtis again, having... With the way that they're managing him.
Do you know why Harvey Elliott was
just rested? Yeah. No, I think there was just a feeling that I think he's the only player, isn't he? Who's been involved in every single, either started or come off the bench in every single game in all comps this season. So I think they just thought it was a good chance to. It was his birthday as well.
Birthday vest.
Yeah. Enjoy your birthday, Harvey.
I did not know he had his birthday off.
But no, he was definitely training today. Yeah. So you wonder whether he may well go for him. And now he's shown a lot of trust in Harvey Elliott, hasn't he, in a lot of big games this season already.
No Arthur Mello.
Wild.
Will he ever pull on a Liverpool shirt again? That's the question. Like,
Mad, that, isn't it? Absolutely mad. Abby, what would you be doing? Anything different to what James said?
I mean, I don't know, because he's made 7 changes, didn't he, for the Chelsea game? It was 7, was it? Was it? Yeah. I don't know. I honestly can't predict it now after that, to be honest. I normally go quite basic, don't I? But I don't know. I couldn't predict it. I think Gakpo will
Thiago's been in training. You know,
you
see the pictures today?
Snapping Diaz early goals.
I know. What was with that about Thiago? Bloody nearly breaking Diaz's leg. I was literally fuming at both of them.
What are you doing, you stupid boys?
And you wonder why they're injured.
More irresponsible though. The person who thought that was a good idea to post on socials.
I know. I put it on. Nah, I was fuming.
Yeah.
Nah,
it was like that video a couple of years ago when we were having a really intense season, and they would him and Trent and Robbo were doing like that keep-ups game, and they were twatting at each other. And Jürgen just comes over and goes, "It's a game, boys."
You know that climbing wall they've got in the training ground as well. We keep getting loads of injuries, and they're all halfway up a wall. And what are you doing?
Oh my god!
Yeah. But the big kids out there. I remember like when it was snowing earlier in the year, and there's an AstroTurf at my son's school, and the second they got out of class, they all ran onto this frozen AstroTurf, and I just watched them go. Whoop, whoop, gang of idiots.
Yeah,
But they're big kids. That's what they've all done. Yeah, we think that's likely. Anyone want to throw anything wild out? Do you think
I've got exactly the same lineup as James just said, by the way. And I just want to say on Gakpo, I think he's been brilliant. I honestly think he's been brilliant since he came in very difficult circumstances. New lad, new to the league, new to the side. A team really struggling for form, confidence, and all the above. He's been outstanding since he came in.
Learning a new role as well.
Absolutely, he spoke about that this week, hasn't he? Really? And about how much Firmino's teaching him. Because I mentioned this a million times, I'll continue to do so. I spoke to Paul Ozenda when we signed him, and he never even imagined he would play like a false 9. It was a left winger, maybe as an actual 9 sometimes, but the false 9's completely new to him, and he's been superb at it. So I've been so impressed. And Jota's coming up to a year now without a goal. Like that's a frightening prospect.
Yeah,
so I'd go with that front 3.
Yeah. Can Liverpool beat Arsenal at the weekend, Dan Club?
Yeah, absolutely, especially at Anfield. Yeah, all the scars are going to come out for them for coming here, as well as they are going in the league, and they are going outstandingly well, and they hope they do win it. Not bringing that up again. Yeah, of course we can beat them at Anfield. Of course we can.
Errol?
Yeah, we can beat them. We're not doing them no favours. Absolutely not. Not at this point.
It's a must win for us, isn't it? We can't do favours anymore.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah.
We got no favours in the bank. Sorry.
Abby?
Anything I predict doesn't happen, so I'll just say a draw. Honestly, if I predict something, it doesn't happen. Maybe I'll just, sometimes I'll just put a bet on of the opposite of what I want to happen.
That's a good idea.
It very much is.
Very smart. Did you bet against Frank Lampard getting the Chelsea job as well?
Yeah, I'm strangely confident, as I said before. It's not logical, is it? Based on form at the minute, but then Liverpool this season haven't been particularly logical, and they have been relatively strong at home. Yeah, and I just think the place will be bouncing. If it was like a lunchtime Saturday, I'd probably feel a bit differently. Yeah. But I think the 4:30 Sunday gives people plenty of time in the pub before they get to the ground.
Easter Sunday as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a resurrection
full of chocolate and ale.
Yeah, and I think there'll be that little bit, won't they, of Arsenal, kind of where Liverpool hope to be, expected to be, want to be. And there will be, regardless of who you want to win, I think there will be that feeling of wanting to cut them down to size a little bit.
Yeah.
Forget about the implications for the title race. It's big for Liverpool because don't win the game on Sunday, and I think that definitely is the final nail in the top 4 hopes.
Yeah.
Did he remind you of 13-14 Liverpool? This Arsenal, or do you think they're better than that?
I think they might be better than that.
I think they're more
of a complete team.
Defensively, certainly. Yeah, I think they'll be better than that.
Yeah. There's less they've gone through those tests. It feels like there's less like magic and spit and sawdust, and you're just going on like winging a prayer and stuff. Like it felt weird. That 13-14 team for us. There's like the Hillsborough Inquest stuff as well, isn't there, around that time? And it really felt like it was like someone from on high had come down and like it was giving us something as opposed to the team necessarily being all together. Whereas Arsenal just feel they look like us. They look like us actually in 17-18, and that's what I'm hopeful of, that they've not quite got enough to get over the line, and hopefully this is one where they start to stumble, for me anyway. Steve Ryder in our Club Legend in Discord says, I'm just a deluded fan and still think we're going to kick their arse. There we go. That's the right kind of attitude for this one. Let's have a score prediction from everyone before we go. James?
3-1 Liverpool.
Oh,
2-2.
Is that because you don't want it to happen?
Because I don't want it to happen.
Fair. I was going for 3-1 as well.
2-1 Liverpool.
3-2 Liverpool.
Ooh, 5-goal thriller.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Cool. Let us know your score predictions in the comments, or you can ever, as always, interact with us at the Redmen TV on Twitter and beyond. If you want to come and join us for Redmen Uncensored this week, a freestyle live chat, and catch all the other back episodes as well, if you go to redmenplus.com, sign up a Club Captain monthly subscription and use the code TNP, easy to spell, TNP. You get 50% off for 3 months. Huge discounts for some huge content in video and in podcast form as well. Anyway, thank you so much to my magical panel of people who can all share in the rage that we've induced with our Liverpool versus the Invincibles team that we created. Quite clearly, by the way, but I'm having Bobby Firmino over Bergkamp all day long. I'm sorry. History is going to be kind. Right, thank you so much. Pint will return at 7 p.m. next Thursday. Hope to see you there. Ta-ra.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that show. I'm sure you did. If you want even more amazing Redmen content in your ears or in your eyes, come and join us over on redmenplus.com. We've got absolutely amazing interviews, features, documentaries, and even more of the shows like you've just watched. So yeah, head on over to redmenplus.com and become a Redmen Plus club captain or club legend. I promise you won't regret it.